I was watching one of TFM's videos the other day called Freedom is Death, link to the video below, where TFM responded to the YouTuber Scotty M's video asking, why aren't there more women libertarians? And TFM answered his question really well, especially fiscally, structurally, in terms of society. So I haven't anything to add really, though I do have something to say with relation to some related realities about female nature, her choices with regard to her concept of libertarianism and freedom compared to what freedom and responsibility actually is. So, the question again, why aren't there more women libertarians? Is the first thing that pops into my mind. And what does that question say about women's absence in this realm of libertarianism? Let's look at the definition of libertarianism first. Wikipedia's definition of libertarianism starts with, quote, a collection of political philosophies and movements that uphold liberty as a core principle. Libertarians seek to maximize political freedom and autonomy, emphasizing freedom of choice, voluntary association, individual judgment, and self-ownership, unquote. The two main things that pop out are voluntary association and self-ownership. Now, you can read more about libertarianism yourself, about the divisions and nuanced tiers trickling down from the core beliefs that I just cited from Wikipedia. But it's plain to see that women would love the fantasy of being libertarians because there's a lot of personal power in the libertarian mindset. It's a great projected fantasy, a panacea for her.
Wouldn't it be great if?
A fantasy, just like Prince Charming coming along and making life all perfect without any effort from her. Libertarian pillars like political freedom, autonomy, freedom of choice, voluntary association, individualism, and most importantly, self-ownership are fantastic ideals, and I support them myself. But this is important to note about women. Virtually all women find it impossible to run with libertarianism because of their exploitative natures. It's the same reason why there aren't any true idealistic, responsible feminists like Camille Paglia that came out during the feminist revolution of independence in the 60s and 70s. Very few people, men or women, but especially women, have the self-sufficient lone wolf, I don't need anyone mentality when it comes to reality and living. Very few have the courage. There's times when I found it daunting. So women only love the fantasy of the idea of libertarianism. And make no mistake, women aren't universally about libertarian rights applied to everyone. That is, they believe in libertarianism only for themselves. Women want men and society to be altruistic and hand them, only them, libertarians, liberties. They literally cannot grasp the contradictions in the things they beat their chest about wanting when they have to face self-sufficiency or work for it or earn it. And let's not forget the reason that contributes to the intellectual laziness of women. Women have always been used to the free ride by altruistic males, first with their doting dads, then with their doting boyfriends, potential or actual ones, and more recently with the biggest doting male around, the government. Women are even more spoilt and blind to the universality of concepts like fairness and liberty. If you're born into a rich family, it's hard to calibrate one's mind away from entitlement. Personally, freedom, in my experience, only tastes good when you're working and doing something yourself to get it. Laziness, inertia, leads to emptiness and depression later, because it's hollow. The human spirit needs to go somewhere. It dies if it's inert. From what I can see in the media, I'm convinced that work, quote unquote, to women, means badgering people to fill their empty, bottomless souls. That's the only work they seem to do, incessant nagging. The depth of the pedestrian woman's mental and spiritual acuity today in relation to concepts of, reality seem to be rudimentary and naive at best.
Something is missing here. Fix it. Make it neat. Balance it.
That's the best most women's minds get to, rearranging the world's furniture to their liking. That's maths to them. There's no merit or cause and effect in their demands. It's very detached from the natural world and reality. I'm sure if that women had their way, if they could, they'd straighten out all the curves and irregularities in nature too. All trees would be the same height and perfectly symmetrical. Every day would be sunny. A rose would never die. Women, when they look at unbalanced scales, they simply nag a counterweight to be placed on the opposite end, so it's all pretty and balanced. Like demanding a new rug because it
looks nice like that.
This balanced nagging that men acquiesce to so easily might just be a combination of men's deferring nature to women combined with his most rudimentary male side for mathematical balance, He quickly thinks, balance something equals she's happy, sounds like good math to me. I don't know, I'm just chewing the fat here. So further to libertarianism. The Wikipedia definition continues, quote, various schools of libertarian thought offer a range of views regarding the legitimate functions of state and private power, often calling to restrict or dissolve coercive social institutions, unquote. Again, women can't be libertarians because women want men's power and authority limited. It goes against libertarian ideals. They don't want the government's power limited. In fact, they vote to grow the government and its taxes on everyone for their welfare, for their free stuff. The government is their big, strong man now. They want their big hubby to be raking in all the money and giving it to her. So no, there's no surprise as to why there are so few true libertarian females. It's for the same reason that there are so few truly individual women in STEM, for the same reason there are so few accomplished individual female CEOs, for the same reason there are so few individual whatevers. Because it requires personal sustained excellence, perseverance and effort. Women tend to depend on the biggest, strongest guy in town and not themselves for distal survival. And now, after they've thrown their exes, that is, men collectively, under the bus, the safe overall and distal survival bet is government. No individual guy can compete with the government. So guess what? Rashly, men have stopped trying to win their exes back, that is, women in general, back from Big Chad, the government. So, ladies, you want the big government? Have him. The grass is greener? Fine. Good luck. You're now water under the bridge anyway, traditionally and romantically speaking, in men's eyes. And as to being kept back from freedom by men, that laughable argument, look, there's no patriarchy running the show, girls. You can make up excuses about society not encouraging women into fields.
Society is not encouraging women into STEM.
Even though all the doors are open for you to do anything you want. You've got more rights than men do. There's nothing holding women back today other than lazy female sophistry and excuses. And daddy government is your soft landing too. It's all win-win for you ladies. Whatever you choose to do or not do, if you're lazy, there's a soft landing for you either way. I don't logically comprehend the complaining, I do, about how
we still don't do enough for women.
The only rational picture I can paint is women will never go their own way for the same reason women aren't libertarians, because you need to be an independent being with an independent, self-determined mind. You need to be a self-determinist, both ideologically and practically. Libertarianism implies a person who believes in individual freedom as a universal concept. It's a self-actualized person, a libertarian, largely, philosophically and practically speaking, which means that one believes in their own freedom and the reciprocity of that freedom to others. Otherwise, the concept can't be true to you. You can't lie to yourself. It's just exploitation of others then. But women seem to be able to do this, lie to themselves. The concept of real freedom can't be universally true if only I can be free. But I don't allow you to be free. It's hypocrisy. So once again, I'll repeat, women don't really believe in the actual concept of liberated freedom, because when looking at all the stats and general observable reality around us, women vote to be dependent, not independent. They vote for more welfare. They grow the state to take care of them more and more. They vote for taxing us all forcibly at an ever-increasing rate and hand over everyone's money to women's interests, namely childcare, women's shelters, domestic violence towards women, welfare, immigrants, subsidies. The list goes on. Free money from my pocket to female-centred causes that I not only have no interest in, but have no say in being taken from me. It's like every day I have a toll to pay to women for no reason, simply because female nature thinks it's normal for me to hand over stuff to them, to be chivalrous, like a bouquet of fucking flowers handed to them. And women think this is perfectly fine.
Doesn't it make you feel good to hand me flowers? I feel good. Why don't you feel good? What's wrong with you?
Free stuff from others is freedom to women. It really reveals something about a person's character when they put their hand in your pocket and then think you are the morally repugnant one if you say no. You have no right to my property without my consent. And so who's kidding who? I'll repeat it again. Women don't actually value the self-dependent, liberating singularity of freedom. It makes them feel strong and independent at the thought of it, sure, but they're playing dress-ups. Women, as I often say, are playing dollhouse as adults. Because the truth is that an obvious glance at the rational and observable facts and patterns of women today clearly show it. And we know this, we see it. Women might value the freedom from something, but they don't value the fortitude of freedom to anything. Practically speaking, most women are grown toddlers. Women value vacations, they value holidays, days off, shopping, relaxing. Girls just want to have fun, as the Cyndi Lauper song goes. Women like laziness, not freedom. Freedom means doing nothing to women. That's what they think freedom is. The two words are synonymous to them.
Look at me, I'm free. I'm doing jack shit. Woohoo!
This is very different from the male view, whose view is generally he wants to be free from something, to do something better, something more productive, fulfilling, more worthwhile. He wants another part of life to begin. It's especially evident when I observe the frustration guys feel post-red pill online and in videos after a life change where they feel lost, trying to find a new path to somewhere, to do something new. Marriage and kids was his to-do before, but now what? He depressively thinks. That's men's post-red pill stress. What to do now? Women don't have this existential anxiety. They still get validation through sex when they want, or at the very least men wanting them for sex. They have kids when they want, even if they want to be single mums, work, not work, take time off, work part-time. They're still socially elevated, admired, they can do no wrong, have social value and capital, and can be as inept, jobless, stupid or rudderless and lazy as they like, contributing little to nothing to anyone and still getting paid and being supported by the government and society and being called brilliant when they're stupid and being called sexy when they're fat. Reality is forever on vacation with women's minds because we're all forever validating her as we would a child. However unfair it is, at least men have the clarity of being judged as an adult. So in a snapshot, how do men and women see freedom differently? Men largely see freedom as this: going from prison to a self-determined adventure of his own making. Women see freedom as this: going from prison to doing nothing and being lazy. Some people will say that women's notion of freedom is an illusion or delusion. I even had one title for this video being Women's Freedom Delusion as the working title as I was brainstorming things. But then I thought, hang on, let's be honest here. Women often willfully, smugly and arrogantly dismiss the truth when you show them that they're being unfair, selfish. When you lay it out in front of them, praxeologically speaking, you show them how their actions lead to consequences and the unfair exploitation of men, society as a whole. And so delusion or illusion is too neutral a word, I think, because there's too much willfulness in what they're doing. It implies they're innocent and ignorant of what they're doing, through no fault of their own. No, they're constantly showing no sympathy, that they're petulant about being entitled and wanting men to be altruistic toward them, and just giggling and taking because they like it, like a little schoolgirl. Women's version of freedom, which has been around forever, let's face it, resides in everyone and everything being altruistic towards females. That is, putting women before anything. Apparently today, even before survival. But here's the thing, gynocentrism is wasting the war chest of what a soft patriarchy, if you want to call it, of men in the past created until now, in terms of progress in intellect and art and civilization. So men are regressing away from the progress now. Many have stopped because they are socially, commercially and morally marginalised with no authority. Men essentially must go their own way in order to survive. I said this in my last video. If the road on the left is the old-fashioned expectations of men to be happily led into a meat grinder of traditionalism, and the road on the right is a simplified and new, though independent survival, then guess which road rational men will have to choose? It ain't rocket science. And the old war chest that men filled up with progress is running out faster than it was previously being filled. Now that women are gorging the cookie jar, the cupboard's bare and the short-sighted female mind is still playing dollhouse and giggling. This willful false feeling of female independence as she gets welfare quota preferences and concessions constantly being elevated by society while conveniently and quietly not mentioning that daddy government is giving her a weekly allowance.
Shh, don't tell anyone. Teehee.
Well, daddy's getting tired. Society's shoulders are getting tired of holding up someone who's getting heavier and heavier by the day. The money's running out. Look, men are already tired individually and are going their own way in record droves. Women aren't even looking at the landscape, and it's only a matter of time before even Atlas will shrug and you'll be thrown off his shoulders because you're too heavy to bear anymore. With the government, women are effectively living at home while daddy pays for everything and protects her legally. And then she smugly calls herself
free and independent
to everyone. But what happens when daddy dies? Or the bills need to be paid and there's no money? Men aren't going to have amnesia anymore and forgive like in the past. Modern women have made too big of a public mess with their feminist chest beating. And the record of the internet and social memes has let all your natures out to be public. This ain't being forgotten any generation soon. The internet's forever. And older women are already taking record numbers of antidepressants today that their cats can't even handle. What happens when this catches up with all women? Because it's protracting out. Women have backed themselves into one corner, the governments. They have nowhere else to go. They've burnt all their bridges. They put all their chips on black. I don't know. It's insanity. Whenever we hear,
women need more funding for X,
this is what is actually happening.
Give us more money out of people's pockets, Daddy.
And in the next breath, we hear terms like
empowered, strong and independent women,
while noting the vanishingly few exceptional women around. Women generally are lazy as a whole when you look across the board. They don't do as much as they nag. So when women talk about freedom, they mean freedom from responsibility. They mean freedom to be lazy at someone else's expense. Let's not forget that women were officially told you're free in the 60s and 70s in a big way. And what quickly followed was a collective,
now change this and give me this and hand out this to me and I still need more of this and we still have a long way to go with this.
It never fucking ends. The nagging has only gotten worse since society has allowed the dependent sex to direct the course of society. It's like you've got a drug-dependent child and you just don't want to send it to rehab or kick it out of your home. And the government as daddy issue. No wonder the government loves women. Governments need a dependent population. You know, a population that needs them and will grow them. So what better way than let the dependent half of our species control the social narrative in all of their insecurity and neediness? Governmental think tanks are brilliant in this. Good move. Ever wondered why the CIA funded feminism in the 60s? Now you know. Well played, sir. Well played. For a woman, freedom is seen as a vacation, essentially inertia. It's not so with men. A man is on his own, and he knows this. The suicide rate for men being about 4 times higher than that of females, well, it's not hard to connect the dots on that. Freedom is tied to responsibility inextricably for a man. He knows he's a human doing. The trick is, gentlemen, to be a human doing for your own means and ends. Period. This need not be depressing. This should be liberating because, unlike women, you're made to be self-sufficient, or you can be. And a great satisfaction is had as a male when you're psychologically and practically self-determined in this way. And look, I understand for the man who traditionally cleaved to the socially validating purpose of family, kids, wife, house, career, and the whole workhorse ladder eternity project thing. And now he has nothing post-divorce or a life change and feels worthless and lost. I get it. He's not told he's wonderful like women are told every 5 seconds. It's a very different existence for a man. It's far more psychologically brutal. It's obvious. Women don't care, which should remind you of what their natures truly are. At best, the male is ignored until he achieves something through work and effort to be validated through. I've talked about this in a few videos before. It's not enough to go your own way. I contend that fulfillment is slowly exposed when you go your own way toward something meaningful for you. The red pill is just opening the door. And many of us are insulted upon taking the red pill by the realization that you've always been seen as a human doing and not a human being. So to retaliate, we think that doing nothing is sweet revenge. And for a short time, it's satisfying, but not for very long. But you know what the post-red pill malaise, as Stardust calls it, is at its core? It's being rudderless, stationary, purposeless. What do I do now? You need to find a direction, guys, for your own mental health. This need not be stressful. Do the most simple thing you enjoy doing. Many men make the mistake of just stopping and doing nothing perpetually like a woman might. Stay stationary for a while, let time heal, but then you need to move on. A man must do, but do it for you now. And it doesn't mean other people's expectations of what do means for you. Just get to it. Watch movies, video games, travel, create things, art, music, gym, exercise, write, make videos, work on bucket lists, nature, whatever. Just do what you've always wanted to do. Categorize bugs. I don't know, whatever. Just do whatever you've wanted to do, no matter how insignificant it seems to others. Significance to you is now the only factor that matters when going your own way. Take a break, a holiday, that's fine. But you can't live there. You'll die there. Trust me, I've been on the edge of those times in the past. Earned happiness through fulfilling work is key. You keep filling your own bucket this way. A concept women know little about because they're used to feeling pleasure by how men make them feel through acts of protection and provision. And unicorn exceptions duly noted, but women don't generally in a self-determined way create their own happiness. It's usually given to them by males in the form of marriage, kids, protection, lifestyle, surprise outings, money, gifts, things paid for. Women, the irresponsible, dependent gender, if that isn't a contradiction right there, simply say,
"Fuck it, wee!"
with no thought to survival and call that freedom. Because to their credit, there's always an eager male there waiting to play daddy and be responsible for the two of them. And for God's sake, guys, stop falling for the promises of freedom as she paints a utopia if you'll just get on one knee. At the end of the day, whether it's you or the government, it's the same mouthwash swished over to the other side. It's her being dependent on another who'll work and provide for her as she does little to nothing just for the privilege of having her. Like you think you have some rare sought-after collector card sealed in fucking carbonite that you can never touch or experience though, but you feel validated by possessing this worthless clump. Oh, and since this video is about freedom, shout out to Big John. I don't know how he got a third strike and was shut down while all his privileges were suspended and could do nothing to warrant the shutdown. Well, I guess if I put my tampon on, I could understand, but hey, you know what the saying is? Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. I swear women will open the coffin and keep stabbing the corpse. But we're told they're the more understanding, empathetic and caring sex. Give me a break. Condolences, John. Hope to see you back. Anyway, I've ear-bashed you enough for one video. Start finding out who you are, guys, and wake up each day to what you want to do. Go your own way, gentlemen. Later. Please share, like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon once you've subscribed to be notified of my next video. And feel free to donate too. It keeps me creating and I really appreciate it. Cheers, guys. Bye.